What's going on, everyone? Jon Venus here. Welcome back to another video. Today I'm bringing on my brother Leo to join us in this conversation. Today we're going to talk about a very interesting topic. It's going to be about the top 5 reasons that most people use to discredit the vegan diet today, to this day, like up-to-date stuff. It's not like, you know, all about protein like it used to be a couple years ago. Now people have gotten serious about their PubMed research, and they come up with a lot of new reasons to debunk the vegan diet. So we're going to talk through those with Leo and see what we come up with.
Yeah, I think it's so interesting because, like you said, there's so many reasons. I mean, I've been vegan now 6 years, and over those 6 years I've been talking to so many people. I've looked through loads of forums, discussions on comment sections, articles, websites, etc. And the amounts of arguments that you see are just growing. It's just every time. That's why it can feel hopeless for a lot of people trying to consider a vegan diet, because it seems like there's just an unending reasons why you shouldn't be doing it. But in my 6 years of doing, while actually looking at these arguments and then looking at the science to see if these arguments have any merit to them, to this day, in 6 years of doing this, I have not found a single reason why we shouldn't go on a plant-based diet. So today we're going to talk about 5 of the most common ones we see. So in the last video we talked a little bit about the hierarchy of evidence, how not all evidence is equal, and how one study is just a small picture to a large puzzle. So today we thought we'd touch on another subject which also has a huge impact on how people form their opinions, and that is one of pragmatism and the practical relevance to our real lives. So for example, if you have a study looking at a lab experiment versus a study looking at real life people in society, then obviously you want to put more weight on the study looking at people rather than a lab study. However, why? Well, because we are not petri dishes, we are humans. So a lot of the things that we see in experiments in the lab, in petri dishes or whatever the experimental design is not as relevant to us as when you study us in our natural form, which is living our lives in society. So like, we might as well just get into the very most common example of this, and you see it all over the place. Every website I go to and they read about it, it's just so commonly used. It's the anti-nutrients in the vegan diet. So lectins, phytates, fiber, you can't get enough of the nutrients because it's going to block all the absorption from food, right? You've probably seen this all over the place.
Yes, and even recently, or in the past year or so, one of the most popular health and nutrition books has been called the Plant Paradox or something, and it's all about anti-nutrients and how to avoid lectins. Anti-nutrients is one of the criticisms that I see the most nowadays. So how should people respond to that? Because, you know, it requires some knowledge of how things work in the, like, you know, you have to do some research about lectins and all these anti-nutrients and how they operate and play a role in our health, or if they play a role in destroying our health. So how do we go about knowing if this is a good or bad thing? And like, what do we listen to? Well, should we avoid them, or should we have more of them? Like, what is it?
I think this is one of the classical paradoxes in the overabundance of information we talked about.
Is it a plant paradox?
This is the real plant paradox. Because there is so much information, it's very difficult to sift through what you should look at and what you shouldn't. And this is one of the classical examples of this. For example, let's say you have an experiment where you say that lectins seem to decrease the absorption of most nutrients by 5 to 10%, and people automatically, the knee-jerk reaction is, oh well, it decreases absorption, that means it's bad for nutrition because we're going to get less nutrition from our food. However, if you then compare that to population studies or real life experiments where you take the nutritional status of people and you find that people who are eating more legumes and grains and vegetables, which have a lot of fiber, lectins, phytates, all of these things that are being considered anti-nutrients, and then you find that these people who are eating a lot of them actually have much better nutrition, they have better markers of nutritional status, they have better health outcomes, they are less sick, they have less heart disease, they have less diabetes. And what are we going to trust in? What do you think has more weight? The examples of people who are much healthier and are nutritionally superior, or the lab studies that are saying, oh, be careful, this might decrease your absorption? And by the way, a lot of lab studies are not even relevant because they are not done in the human body. A lot of things happen in the human body differently than they would in a laboratory, and this is why it's very risky, and you can fall into a lot of traps only looking at ex vivo or outside of the body experimental studies.
Exactly, and just look at it from a practical standpoint. there are so many things that decrease certain levels of nutrients or hormones and that kind of stuff by, you know, small percentages, like 10%. Even if the certain food that you're eating or the legume or the bean decreases your absorption of whatever nutrient by 5 to 10%, that's not going to impact your health at all, because you're getting so, like, the legume is so rich in certain minerals that, you know, the decreased 5 or 10% really doesn't make a difference. So it doesn't make sense to avoid something that will give you so much and then eat something else that might not even have the same amount of minerals, but then might have something like cholesterol or saturated fats or, you know, animal protein that will, you know, maybe give us a more bioavailable source of iron, for example. But will, you know, lead to the detriment of our health because of all these other things that are attached to it.
And since you just mentioned it, number 2 is iron, because as we've all heard many times before,
you need the heme iron, bro.
Yeah, exactly. If you don't have heme iron, you're gonna get deficient, all this kind of stuff, and non-heme iron is better absorbed. But, you know, when you actually look, again, looking away from the lab studies and the theoretical data, and you're looking at real life population studies, looking at human beings, then you actually see that vegetarians and vegans don't have significantly higher rates of iron deficiency anemia. However, what we do find in the science today is that they do have significantly lower rates of diabetes, lower rates of cardiovascular disease, lower rates of certain types of cancers that have been associated with the consumption of heme iron. So again, it's a question of pragmatism. Look at the real life examples versus the theoretical risks.
Exactly. So if you have a choice of getting your iron from, you know, non-heme sources or plant sources, then even if, again, the bioavailability or the absorption rate isn't as big as in the heme iron from animal sources, it's still going to give you a lot if you eat sufficient amounts of legumes, for example. And as you say, heme iron is associated with loads of other risks. So again, just looking at stuff from a kind of like packaged perspective, like seeing what else is attached to that one nutrient that you're looking for is essential. We can't just be looking for one thing and find that one thing in one food and think that everything else is going to be fine, because meat and animal products have a lot of, you know, single good nutrients that our body needs, but they have so many other bad things, like I just said before. But I just want to repeat myself because it's such an important point.
Exactly. No, it's absolutely crucial. It's a package. It's the package that you're eating. It's not, you're not eating only the protein when you eat meat, and you're not only eating the calcium when you drink milk. You're not only getting the omega-3 when you eat fish. So that's absolutely so important to think about. All right, number 3 should be probably number 1, because it's probably the one you hear the most often, which is protein.
Yeah, protein. The protein thing has been the thing that we've been discussing for years. You've been fighting the protein war since, you know, 2000.
I carry many scars.
Exactly, yeah. You've been doing it for 6 years. I've been doing it for 4 years almost. And this is one of the criticisms that come to me the most, especially because I do more fitness and bodybuilding related content. And, you know, it's, again, without looking at any science, without looking at anything, I believe in anecdotal evidence and real life examples. Just from my personal experience, coaching people who have been vegan for over 10 years, 15 years even, and just in my own personal body, I know that we're getting enough protein. I know that I'm getting enough protein to build my muscle at an optimal rate. I mean, I didn't see any stagnation periods or any slowdown in my muscle growth and strength once turning vegan. I actually made more gains than I was previously. Probably because, not only because of the plant protein and dropping animal protein, because it was mostly because of my digestion being way more efficient. Everything was going through my body and being absorbed way more efficiently. And that is one of the reasons why I was able to progress so much faster. So it's not necessarily, you know, one thing is better than the other. Like whey protein is worse than rice and pea protein. It's not what we're talking about. We're, again, talking about the packaged thing, like whey protein. There's a lot of side effects that go into that.
Absolutely, yeah, and not only that, but it's not only anecdotal evidence we're going off of. No. Anecdotal evidence is better than nothing. It's basically a study of one person. But then we also, when you go up and the higher quality studies, there are basically no, number one, there are quite few studies being done on this, but out of the studies, we have no studies showing that animal protein is in any way better than plant protein. From a health profile, without even thinking about building muscle, just from a health profile, animal protein seems to be a lot more detrimental to us than plant protein. So if there is no evidence saying that you can't build muscle on a plant-based protein, then why not do that? Because you're at less risk from all the health detriments that is associated with the animal protein. And then number 2, the other thing I always want to mention when I talk about protein is the complete versus incomplete
amino
misnomer.
acid profile.
Yeah, exactly. The amino acid profile. There is no such thing as an incomplete amino acid profile, because every plant protein you can find will have all of the essential amino acids you need, just in different quantities than the animal amino acid profile. So when they say incomplete, it just means lower in certain amino acids.
Like leucine, for example, is
Exactly, but it doesn't mean that it's completely gone.
Yeah.
And this is what people think, that well, if animal protein is complete and plant protein is incomplete, then animal protein must be better. It's not the case.
And also, you have to think about where the whole thing comes from, where the source of the protein is coming from. It's all, growing from the ground. It's all coming from plants that animals are consuming to build their, tissues and muscles, and then we're just eating the end result instead of just going for the source. Anyway, I'm sure you guys are sick of hearing this protein thing, or maybe not, I don't know, but I'm sick of talking about it, so we might as well move to the next point, which is vitamin A, something that a lot of people have criticized the plant-based diet for in the recent year, I feel like.
Again, I feel like I'm just reiterating the same arguments over and over again, but this is basically, it's the mentality behind a lot of these misconceptions, these theories that when you look at the real life evidence, it just doesn't pan out. Again, with vitamin A, do we see higher rates of vitamin A deficiency in vegans and vegetarians than in meat eaters? No, we don't. So
what is the reason why people think that vegans can't get vitamin A?
So basically, in the plant kingdom, we have a pro vitamin A version found. It's beta carotene, which our body converts into retinoic acid or retinal and retinol, and there's this whole conversion process that happens, and this is efficient enough for us to get all of the vitamin A we need from beta carotene. However, then a lot of people will say, well, there's theories that we won't get optimal amounts unless we eat vitamin A. But it turns out, again, like with heme iron, like with so many of these cases, too much vitamin A can actually be toxic, and you can't get too much beta carotene, but you can get too much vitamin A. And this is actually one of the reasons why taking Accutane, one of those acne medications, can be dangerous, is because you can actually get an overdose of vitamin A. So why are you gonna take a theoretical risk, a fear that is a theory, it's not been proven, and then you're gonna trump the real life data that we have with that theory? It just doesn't make sense. Okay, moving on to the last one, and probably the easiest one to brush off is cholesterol.
Yeah, cholesterol.
How many times have you heard about that? You're looking a little bit testosterone deficient there,
I know,
bro.
Yeah, I am. I'm getting old, that's why. I think it's like one of these things that people who are very uneducated still use this, but I think most people realize that our bodies produces its own cholesterol, and it produces enough of it, and the exogenous or the extra cholesterol you get from other foods like animal products are just going to raise your actual natural levels that you need to survive and thrive.
Yeah, so again, look at the real life data versus the theories.
Yeah.
People who are on vegan, vegetarian diets, they don't have a cholesterol deficiency. I've never heard of a cholesterol deficiency. As you guys know, or a lot of you guys I'm sure know, cholesterol is everywhere in our bodies. Every cell uses cholesterol in the membranes, in the wall of the cell. So we need to have the ability to produce that cholesterol. Otherwise, if we went on a vegan diet and we needed to eat cholesterol, we would probably get sick very, very quickly.
But cholesterol molecules react with animal protein, and those two form testosterone, which means gains, right?
Exactly. No, but seriously,
why do people think that cholesterol increases testosterone and leads to more muscle gain?
Because testosterone is a steroid hormone, meaning it uses cholesterol as a precursor in the metabolic pathway to produce testosterone. So because people just make, again, assumptions, cholesterol is used for the production of testosterone, so then if you don't eat cholesterol, you won't have the precursor to testosterone, so testosterone goes down, your muscle goes down. But no, you produce all the cholesterol you need, including the cholesterol that's needed to be converted into testosterone in the body. And again, from the perspective of getting everything you need without the associated risks of animal food, the cholesterol one is just the easiest one out of anyone to just be like, well, this is common sense, avoid it at all costs. We have over 17 million people dying every single year of heart disease. And the vegan diet is the only diet that has been proven scientifically not only to efficiently prevent, but even to reverse a lot of cases of heart disease. So this reason alone should be more than enough for everyone to say, okay, this is a huge benefit and we should definitely avoid it. In terms of cholesterol, you hear all the time that cholesterol doesn't cause heart disease. The bottom line of it is that all the best science, all the best experts, the best organizations in the world agree that a diet high in saturated fat and cholesterol raises your risk of heart disease, and it's completely without a single doubt been proven across all of the different countries, all different, you know, people, races, it doesn't matter. It's been proven to the point where if you guys ever hear anyone tell you that cholesterol and high saturated fat diets do not cause heart disease, please check the box in your head that says this guy or girl does not know what they're talking about, and ignore their opinion, because like I said, you're literally going against all of the best science out there in the world if you think that that doesn't cause heart disease. I just want to mention that because a lot of people say, oh, there's, you know, some people say it doesn't cause, some people, there's no doubt. From the scientific community, there's no doubt whatsoever.
It's really important, and this is the point that I want to finalize the whole video with. The extremely important point to mention is that the vegan diet is a very general term. And we all have to, depending on our deficiencies, our health issues, we all have to personalize this diet to benefit our own needs, right? If we're trying to heal from type 2 diabetes, for example, we had to tailor our diet to be able to tackle that. And that is why a lot of people just you know, think that it doesn't work, because they just try a vegan diet, I just drop animal protein and you know, animal products out of their diet, and nothing is fixed, and they think it doesn't work, and they just go back to eating meat.
I've tried the vegan diet, right?
Exactly. So you have to look at it from a perspective of personalization. It really depends what you're looking after, what you thrive most on, what you have to reverse or, you know, try to cure. It really depends on your situation, but you can always find a way to make a whole food plant-based diet work for you personally. I really do believe that. Take your health into your own hands, because health is everything. Without it, nothing else is going to be able to be manifested in your life. It's so important to live a healthy lifestyle through nutrition. And don't think that these issues by eating processed foods and animal products won't catch up to you. You might feel young now and without any worries, but these things build up and can cause issues even if you don't feel anything at all right now. So just keep that in mind, do your research, and I really implore you to just take the steps towards eating a more whole food plant-based diet. It doesn't mean that you have to drop all meat and animal products all at once. Just take the step in the right direction of replacing the more processed foods and animal products from your diet with better, healthier whole plant foods. So if you do that, you won't go wrong. Anyways, thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, let me know in the comment section below. And if you have any suggestions for more videos for me and Leo to do while he is here, let us know in the comments as well. And check his channel out, link in the description box. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you very soon. Peace out.